Well, this baby's in pretty rough shape, as you can see. Holes right through this tailgate. Truck's never even been washed. But you know, in spite of all the loads this truck's carried, look, this tailgate still works fine. Opens, closes and locks. Just amazing.
Our motoring tip of the week concerns rust and just how destructive it is to your vehicle. Now, Brad's been after me for quite some time about some brake issues on our crew truck, the O2 Yukon. This vehicle, we love this vehicle, drives great, but we've had issues with parts corroding on it, and it's purely our own fault because it sits around in a really wet, humid, damp environment close to Lake Ontario with road salt, and we don't drive it enough. It'll sit for a chunk of time, then we drive it, then it sits. That's the worst thing for a vehicle, sitting around. If it's used all the time, the friction and heat of use help a lot of these parts stay in good condition, primarily the brakes, but other things too. So Brad was complaining about the brakes on the vehicle. Well, I might have taken them a little bit too lightly because when I actually got the vehicle and pulled the wheels off, the brakes were really in rough shape. Now, they weren't in rough shape from high kilometers or heavy usage, but once again, rust. So our brake rotors had got all rusty and abrasive and rough, so they chewed away the brake pads and cleaned the brake pads right off on the inboard side of the rears, and the front's pretty much the same thing. So we had to put all new rotors and new pads for the umpteenth time, and as I mentioned earlier, primarily because we don't drive it enough. It sits outside in the shade in a damp area and we get corrosion. Now, of course, it attacks the body as well, and we've got some body rust on this vehicle as well. And you know, now we're 16 years into the life of this vehicle. The engine runs perfect, transmission, driveline. We love this vehicle, but the rust is catching up to us. So I wish I'd taken my own advice at the start and told Brad, we got to get this thing to Crown or to Rust Check or somebody and get some extra rust protection on it. You know, as much as we complain about what rust does to our vehicles, seriously, if it wasn't for rust, I might be out of a job. That's your motoring tip of the week.